Welcome to this episode of the Gunman. So this video here is a review and demonstration on the U-POL Raptor Liner, bed liner. So it goes on the back of Ute Trays. It can also be used on many different things. I've even seen some people do resprays with it of the exterior of a car. Personally, I wouldn't be doing it on my car, but get inventive. You could use it on boats and loads of different surfaces that you didn't want to get damaged. I'm also going to do some demonstrations on how it stands up at the very end, how it holds up to hammers, razor blades and all that kind of stuff, and I was actually quite impressed with the results. So obviously, first up you've got to prepare your surface. So this is the back of a Volkswagen Combi Ute that a few people who've been following me on Facebook and Instagram will probably be familiar with this vehicle here. It's a late 70s model and the model name is a Bay, so it's the one that come after the split screens. I think the split screens are a little bit better looking, however these are nice vehicles as well. Got a bit of a cult following around the world. As you can see, it's seen a bit of rust, this old girl, so we just treated that rust, bashed the worst of it into a low spot, and I'm then just filling it up with some fiberglass filler. I'm not getting overly fussy with it, just slapping a bit in there to fill the hole up, and I've done the same up the front. We're then going to be preparing the entire surface. I just sanded it down with 80 grit on the orbital sander, took it in the booth, put that seam sealer over it, and then gave it a quick mask up. Pretty basic masking for this, just a piece of plastic over it and mask around the entire edge, and ready to apply our U-POL Raptor Liner. So this product also comes in a tintable, but I'm just using the black. So the tintable one comes as a bit of a sort of white beigey colour, and you can then just tint it with any base coat as you will. I've actually seen some pretty cool designs with it on Instagram. There's a guy that has an Instagram page dedicated to the Raptor Liner, and he's done some stuff like spraying the black down first, getting that tintable stuff, putting some colours with it, and then dropping the pressure down and then just putting the coloured over the top of the black, and it looks really nice. I found it hard to actually dig those photos back. I was going to include a couple of those photos in at the end, but unfortunately I couldn't find any. It was hard to find on Google and Instagram as well, so never mind. If I do find them again, I'll share them through my Facebook and Instagram page for you guys. So yeah, next up we're just giving it a mix up. The ratio is 3:1, so it's actually, you don't necessarily even need to mix it out with a ratio cup. The idea of this stuff is just fill, shake and shoot. So it comes with a 1 litre hardener, and there's 4 750ml bottles of the Raptor Liner. All you really actually have to do is just fill them up, because they leave a little bit of space for the hardener to go in. So that's what it even says on the can. It just says fill, shake and shoot. However, I just decided I wanted to get that ratio exactly right, so I thought I'd just put the 250ml in my pot and then tip it in from there, so it's all 100% correct. Moving on, just making sure it's correctly shaken. So you give it a really good shake. This stuff is very thick, so I was a little bit wary of not getting it shaked up quite enough. So I cut all that footage out, most of the footage out, but I really did give it a good shake up. And the gun that you're meant to be using, it's just a normal stone guard gun. People will be quite familiar with these guns. You use them to do underbody deadener, body shoots, and stone guard. If you've ever done stone guard on your sill panels, it's exactly the same method, and it's a very similar process. However, it's a 2-pack. Most body deadeners and most stone guards are just a 1K, just single pack, just straight out of the can, and they'll dry like that. But this is a 2-pack, so it actually gives it a lot more durability. And as I said before, hang around to the end. We also did some non-slip tests as well with some garnet. We sprayed a bit of garnet over the top, and it really got some good results with that. It would be something that would probably work quite well if you've got a boat or something, and you really you want to protect the surface, but you also want to stop slipping over when you get the water coming in. I thought that would be a good purpose to use it for. Anyway, onto it, and there's no need to put any primer over a job like this. It's just steel, so you're going to get adhesion to steel, and it actually says on the can that it's also got some rust inhibitors in there as well. So we didn't get too overly fussed with doing the rust converter on here, being that this stuff said it had some rust inhibitor in it. going over any aluminium, I would recommend using some sort of an epoxy primer first. These test panels that I was telling you guys about that we did, they were aluminium panels, and we didn't get very good adhesion. I'm not surprised, but for the test panels, we really weren't getting, we're not going to sit around and mix up extra products just for the sake of doing the test panels. Now you can see on the very back of the of that tray there, I decided to put just that extra coat because I ended up going through 2.5 cans. I mixed up 2 cans to start off with. I then ran out at the end. I thought rather than mixing 3 up and not needing it, I'd rather mix that extra one up once I know that I need it. And it turns out I did, and with that extra, as I said, I just put it up the back there just to sort of help with a bit more sound deadening. So obviously being how thick this stuff is, it does have a bit of sound deadening properties in it too. It's not its sole purpose of the product, but it also does include some sound deadening just because of its thickness. There's that one little spot you can see there where I had to go over and mix up. It allowed it to dry a touch, but by the time it dried out, you can barely even see it. I can see it, I doubt anyone else would know unless I just told the world. Everyone who's watching this video anyway. There you go. These are. I just started off just by doing this one test panel here. Just giving it a good thick double header. So put one coat on and then straight away put another thick coat on. It also gives you an idea of how it's going to look like on a nice surface. So the tray of that ute is pretty far gone. It's got highs and lows and dents and all that kind of stuff all through it. But you can see on here it gives you quite a nice effect. I also used this exact same stuff on the floor of that combi by request of the owner of the car. The floor was a bit shabby as well, so we just removed all the loose stuff, gave it a bit of a stand up. I pulled those seats out and then masked it all up and put the tray liner as well on the inside of where your feet go and on the inside of that headboard where it goes from the outside to the inside of the cabin, and it seems to have done quite a nice job. The owner's getting the seats retrimmed and all that stuff, so I'll go through this job in a separate video, but next up we're going to do those tests I was telling you guys about. I forgot to actually record when I was spraying the garnet on, but all I did, I got my sandblasting gun. I just got a little sandblasting gun. It's got some garnet in it and just sprayed it over a few of the other test panels. We did a few different methods, so we put like just a really light coat of the Raptor Liner on first for this one, and then just put a very low pressure light coat of the garnet, and then a nice wet coat of the Raptor Liner over the top of that, so it gives you a nice colour. So it's still got that black, but it hasn't given us full non-slip, whereas you can see here we've done a 50-50 on this panel here, and half of that is actually underneath, and then the other half it's just garnet over the top of the wet Raptor Liner. So as you can see there, that's really sticking like very well to that rag there, whereas on the other part we've improved the slip compared to just straight Raptor Liner, but it's still not quite as sticky as this stuff. So next up, I'm just going to be doing a few tests. I've got a razor blade. I thought I'd see how it goes, holds up against a razor blade and cutting into it, and then also just get a hammer and just start beating the hell out of it. And I was actually quite impressed with how it held up, and the garnet version actually held up much better to the razor blade because it was acting like a piece of sandpaper, and it really wouldn't cut into it. It was actually just blunting the razor blade. However, the piece that was just straight Raptor Liner, I was actually able to cut into it. Not very surprised about that result, to be honest. And also later on you may notice that when I just really start getting stuck into it with the hammer, the piece with the garnet over the top actually didn't hold up quite as well, because the garnet's obviously an abrasive, and as you're hitting it with that hammer, it's actually breaking the Raptor Liner apart. So I'm starting off just pretty gentle, just just seeing how it goes, and it's doing quite well. You can see it's really doing some damage to that aluminium sheet, but it actually is barely even piercing the Raptor Liner itself. So you can just imagine that in a practical environment, if that's in the back of your ute and you're throwing tools and ladders and all that kind of stuff in the back of your ute, it's really going to serve the purpose. It's going to be protecting the surface underneath and stopping it from getting any further damage. So here's the razor blade on the just the bare Raptor Liner by itself. and it's really cutting straight into it. I'm not sure how well you'd be able to pick that up, but you can see that line that's cut into it, but that's not a big deal. It's sort of to be expected, I guess. They've actually got a great wide range of products, U-POL. I've been very happy with most of their products, and I'm not really that surprised that this product is good going on the rest of their products. They've got primers, clear coats, body fillers, you name it. They've got a big wide range. As far as I know, I don't know if they've actually got a paint system, but I could be wrong. I've never seen or heard of one in Australia yet. As far as that non-slip surface goes, there's nothing stopping you from going out and just grabbing some beach sand, getting yourself a little media blaster, sand blaster gun. They're quite cheap. Just whacking it in there. Obviously, it does get sort of all over the joint, so if you can do it in an enclosed space, it'll be preferred. Otherwise, you just got to have a lot of sweeping up on your hands. So moving along, as you can see, I've started getting stuck into it, and it's barely budging. Just don't forget, if you were to like, these are just test panels, so I'm not too worried if they did stick, but they actually did stick to aluminium. I would have preferred to put, say, some kind of an etch primer or a epoxy primer would be ideal to get the best adhesion first. So this is another non-slip test for you guys. So that first one is just it by itself, and then you can see with that garnet over the top, that's really super non-slip, and I can imagine, I probably should have done a water test with it too, but not to worry, you can do that yourself if you like. I'm sure it'd hold up just as good with water on the surface too. So there you go, I did that, and then I decided, you know what, I may as well just get stuck right into it, flick the hammer around the other way with the round section of it, and just start beating it right up. And this section here was where it really did start to break it up. So I can imagine if there was sort of an area that was just getting a real good pummeling on a daily basis, then it may not hold up the best over a long period of time. But considering what it's just been given, that's held up quite well. But if you look really close, you can see that it's actually started to move apart because of the abrasiveness of that garnet. And yeah, don't forget, boys and girls, always wear your PPE. If you're using a hammer, wear gloves and eye protection and ear protection and all that stuff. So moving on to that next test, which is the Raptor Liner just by itself. It's holding up really well. It's really not breaking it apart. It's quite amazing stuff. It's a very amazing product, I must admit. I've never used anything quite like it. This was my first attempt at using it. Very easy application and very effective. They also come in a fast hardener as well. The one I used was a medium hardener, and it was about $300 for that kit there. It's a 4-litre kit, and one of those guns will set you back about $20 for that one of those Vanguard guns. So check out these couple of videos here if you haven't already seen them. Just a couple more paint reviews for you. Thanks for watching, and this has been another Gunman production. Goodbye.